We are live for a new episode of the Electrek podcast. I am Fred Lambert, your host, and as usual, I'm joined by Seth Wintraub. How are you doing today, Seth?
I'm good.
All right, I hope you are, because I don't always say it's a big episode, but this one is really a big one. If you just look at the amount of articles we're going to cover here, there's a lot of things to cover. It's because it's the Tesla earning week, so if you're not into the Tesla stuff, you can probably skip 30 minutes ahead, and you'll be catching up, because we have a ton of other non-Tesla things to discuss too. But before we do that, I want to give a quick thank you to our sponsor, because a big episode deserves big sponsors, and today's episode is sponsored by Blue Eddy, a leading provider of portable power stations, solar generators, and energy storage system. For a limited time, save up to 50% during Blue Eddy's Halloween sale now through October 31st. You can learn more about it in the show notes, but we're going to talk a bit more about them later on the show. And also a big thank you to All Set Auto for sponsoring this week's episode, the North America's leader in paint protection and restyling, offering colored wraps, paint protection, window tint, ceramic coating, and more exclusively on EV. You can also learn more about them in the show notes, but we're going to talk a little bit about them later on the show. All right. It was Tesla's earnings this week, and we wrote a lot of articles about it. There was a lot of news that came out about the earnings. Tesla did miss on revenue with it was expected to be just short of 25.5 billion. Tesla came in at just short of 25.2, so not a big deal. They had a big beat on the earnings per share. Wall Street was expecting 60 cents per share. Tesla came in at 72 cents per share. So the stock then skyrocketed from there. And here's why, just a little bit of an earnings beat, a little bit of a revenue miss. But the bigger news here that surprised a lot of people is the margins. So we know Tesla delivered just marginally more vehicles than they did last quarter and last year. But they had a big margin beat, and it's kind of hard to see why, because Tesla still had big discounts like last quarter, and they confirmed that the ASP, the average price per car sold, went down. But the cost of goods sold actually, Tesla claims, went down even further than that, allowing them to go back up from an 18% gross margin last quarter, roughly the same last year too, at around the same time, 17.9, to now 19.8. That's the 195 points increase year over year, which is really surprising, because Tesla was guiding last quarter that there might be a cost increase. So this thing kind of came out of nowhere, and people are still trying to adjust to it, see how that could have happened. Another kind of surprise is a big jump in capital expenditure, which we assume is linked to the huge delivery of NVIDIA processing computer, that AI training computer that they received, most likely. Tesla didn't elaborate too much on that, but they did say that the cost of goods, they received the headline here, per vehicle came down to its lowest level ever at $35,000. There's a few things, though, that we can get into that might explain to why the stock jumped right away from the earnings. One of the things is Tesla actually gave some guidance this time for this quarter, Q4, and into next year. If you've been following Tesla's financial results, they are pretty opaque about guidances. They generally just share we expect a 50% growth in revenue, but in vehicle delivered, going up and down around that level every year up until 2030, when we're going to sell 20 million vehicles per year. That has been Tesla's main guidance every quarter. But they removed that this year, obviously, because there's no growth this year. Or is there? Because now Tesla said in the earnings result that despite ongoing macroeconomic condition, we expect to achieve slight growth in vehicle deliveries in 2024. So there's just one quarter left in 2024. We know how many vehicles Tesla delivered during that time. We know how many they delivered in Q4 2024, which means that Tesla expect to deliver at least 515,000 vehicles this quarter. And that's a lot. Like that would be a big increase year over year, big increase quarter over quarter. It's not impossible, because we've been reporting earlier this week that Tesla is already doing much deeper discount. Well, Well, they're doing deep discount for such an early time in the quarter. Tesla always does pretty deep discounts deep into the quarter, but this time they're doing it early. And this is Tesla now. Its inventory discounts have doubled since the beginning of the quarter to up to $4,000 per vehicle, Model Y and Model 3 in the US. And that's adding to the 0% APR that Tesla took just a week break. A week-long break between the end of last quarter and this quarter to restart. And this time there's no clear end to the 0% APR incentive. It does look like Tesla is trying to get its orders in early, especially in the US I'm talking about. And once that's done, I assume they're going to stop the 0% APR or something like that. I'm not sure. And then there's the FSD transfer that also came back for a fourth time. So all these things are stackable, and they're all incentives for people to order early in Q4. And so I don't think it's impossible for Tesla to get to just over 500,000 vehicles in Q4. It will need China, obviously. So China needs to perform, because that was this quarter too, I think, that made the difference. Tesla performed well in China, so they were able to deliver there. Oh yeah. This I found interesting because I was reading the shareholders letter, and I've been covering Tesla a long time. Said too, we remember the good old days. We remember when Elon said our philosophy with respect to service is not to make a profit from service. I think it's terrible to make a profit on service. Terrible is his word. He often criticized GM for making a lot of his profits from selling replacement parts to its dealership. So he said, like, they sell cars that break and then they make money off those cars breaking, things like that. He also said that the Supercharger network will never become a profit center for Tesla. So that's why, after he said that, remembering all that, I was looking at Tesla's service and others' gross profit, and there is definitely something happening there, because for the most part, if you follow these accounting lines in Tesla's financials over the last 10 years, Elon has mostly been right about that. Like, the Tesla has been, either marginally down or marginally up on that, like never any kind of significant gross profit. But over the last 2 quarters, there's been big jumps. Last quarter, Q3, was a 90% increase year over year in gross profit from service and others. Now, I know what some of you are going to say about that. You're going to say that, like, all right, in service and others, there's a lot of other things than service and superchargers. And you'd be right. Historically, Tesla is not very opaque with its financial results. They bundle a lot of things into service and others. And historically, the revenue and the gross profit from that has been coming from servicing the vehicle and selling used vehicle. That has been the two main ones. And servicing the vehicle also include selling parts, replacement parts. But this time, what made me write this article about it, and my article title is Tesla's profit are now coming from things Elon Musk said he wouldn't do, is that in its result, Tesla says that the service and others business achieved a record gross profit in Q3, growing over 90% year over year. Sequential growth in the gross profit was driven mostly by higher gross profit generation from supercharging, never going to be a profit center, service center margin improvement, and higher gross profit generation from parts sales and merchandise. So terrible to make money off service.
All 3 things.
Yeah, exactly those things. So, and to be fair, like, that was roughly $250 million in gross profit from that, which is still small of Tesla's bigger overall gross profit. But if you look at the increase in gross profit, though, because this is brand new gross profit there, it's about a third of the $800 million in gross profit increase Tesla got year over year. So it is significant. Like, it's not significant. Like, you remove that, and you remove the record sales of regulatory credits, and Tesla is at the same level that it was last year in terms of gross profits, just to give you some kind of perspective. So I find it interesting. Like, I think it's noteworthy to say that things are changing at Tesla. Like, I'm not in the supercharger front. It's harder to say exactly. Like, it might not be an actual, like, profit center yet, and Tesla might still be adjusting itself to the growth rate and how to, just generate enough money to have the superchargers network be sustainable economically, but also grow it at the same time. But in terms of service, I mean, I think Tesla is becoming like all the other automakers and trying to make money off of that. I can give my own experience with this because I have two vehicles right now that are need service from Tesla, my 2012 Model S and my 2018 Model 3. My Model S is waiting for a very expensive part from Tesla to send it to my dealership, to my service center to replace it. A part that I think could be cheaper if I go somewhere else, but I cannot find anyone else to install it right now. And my Model 3 is waiting for this appointment right now, and they sent me an estimate for $1,800 to replace like my passenger airbag and some seat restraint on the front passenger, and that was a surprise to me. I just got an alert in my car that says like a problem with the front passenger restraint. You're gonna need service, and then I put the alert in online to see what other people that got that ad service done. And almost everyone said that it's like a 10-minute mobile technician repair, and then it's done, and no need to replace the airbag and all that. So I'm like, all right. So I'm gonna have to do a little bit more research on this before I give Tesla $800 for this. Yeah, so that was one of the news items that I think came out of the earnings. Tesla reiterated that they are, whoops, I clicked on the same thing because it moved. Tesla reiterated that affordable vehicles are coming in the first half of 2025, but there was really no new details on that. Tesla copy-pasted the language from the last earnings result to this one. Elon commented on it a little bit that they think that it's going to happen in first half. It's not sure when it's going to be unveiled, because if it's coming first half, it's going to have to be unveiled fairly soon, because production is coming first half, he said. And those are the vehicles we expect to be the Model 3 and Model Y base vehicle. That are going to include some of the aspect of the new platform, but are going to be quite similar enough that they're going to be built on the same production line as Model 3 and Model Y. We expect them to be cheaper in the range of like $30,000, $35,000 before incentives. So in the $5,000 to $10,000 cheaper than Tesla's current Model 3 Model Y. With the release, Tesla announced that they produced their 7 millionth electric car, which is pretty awesome. It was done in Fremont, based on this picture at least. And Shanghai, which has been the big producer for Tesla in the last 2 years, has already reached 3 million vehicles produced last week.
Wow, they might be at 4 million when Tesla reaches 8 million. Might be half of the cars.
Yeah, by far the highest producing plant for them. One thing that was really interesting in the call that got people talking a lot, I mean, 330 comments on my article on it alone. Elon finally admitted that Tesla's Hardware 3 might not support full self-driving. Finally came out of the bag after the not nuanced comment at the We Rebot event earlier this month. Here are his exact words. We are not 100% sure. Hardware 4 has several times the capability of Hardware 3. It's easier to get things to work on Hardware 4. It takes a lot of effort to squeeze that into Hardware 3. There's some chance that Hardware 3 does not achieve the safety level that allows for unsupervised self-driving. Wow. Finally, he comes out and said it just a few days after my big report on it, where I said that, where I revealed that Tesla is now using both nodes, both neural net nodes on the computer, and even though one was supposed to be for redundancy. And yeah, that makes, I think there's no doubt at this point. I mean, the only chance that Elon could be clinging on for like not be lying to people when he says he's not sure is that technically, if Tesla ever solve full self-driving, then they could potentially optimize the code enough to not only be able to run on the Hardware 3 board, but to run on a single node of the Hardware 3 board, keeping the other one for redundancy, which you need for level 4 or 5. This is a crazy long stretch. But then people clung on to the other thing he said, which is, if that turns out to be the case, we will upgrade those who bought Hardware 3 FSD for free, and we have designed the system to be upgradable. So already right there, I'm like, okay, so people cut that and said they'd already designed the system to upgrade. And I'm like, you have to be careful with that because we know for a fact that hardware 3 is not upgradable to hardware 4 as is, meaning that Tesla already produce millions of hardware 4 computers per year. They cannot just take one of those and put them in an hardware 3 cars. The power harnesses are different. The camera harnesses are different. The form factor itself is different enough that it doesn't fit in there. So Tesla will have, if they haven't already, which sounds like they haven't, because Elon just said that they designed the system to be upgradable, which is fair. You can just unplug the computer and plug the other one. But the new one needs to have the same power harnesses, same camera harnesses, and fit into place. Tesla, as far as we know, doesn't have that right now, so they would have to make that. And also, like, how excited are people are about upgrading from hardware 3 to modify hardware 4? Because I had a car that had hardware 2.5, and I was told that this would be enough for self-driving. It took Tesla 2 years to figure out it wasn't. Then they gave me an hardware 3 computer. When I say gave for free, also it's like included in the price that I paid for FSD, let's be honest. And then it took them 5 years to figure out that this computer is not enough for self-driving. And now they're going to give me like a new computer, and I just have to believe that this one's going to be enough for self-driving, even though, and this is the main thing here, Elon said this, we don't, like, to the question, like, will hardware 3 be enough to self-driving? He said, we don't actually know the answer to that. And that's the main thing that you need to remember here. Elon, or anyone at Tesla, or anyone in the world really, no one of them knows what compute power, inference compute power inside the car will be needed to run a vision-based self-driving. And you won't know until you solve it. Which again brings me back to the main problem with FSD is not the actual program. The program itself, if it was designed in a vacuum without any comments from Elon or anyone else, it would be praised by everyone as some very impressive tech. But it's not. It's being sold right now to consumers. And not only that, Tesla and Elon specifically is using the FSD promise to sell cars. And that's where you get into a tricky territory. You're selling a product that you don't know that you can deliver, and that's very problematic in my opinion. Which leads me to my next article on this, which other comments that Elon made about the broader full self-driving rollout. He said some very interesting things, that gonna make our reporting on this a lot easier going forward. Because if you remember, the big problem with Tesla is this, like they have all the data. They have 2 billion miles now of FSD data, and they have not released a single piece of data other than saying that they have 2 billion miles of data. And that's problematic because Tesla is using miles between disengagement, specifically miles between critical or necessary disengagement. The words are used alternatively, as a metric to track progress. And yet they have never released that metric. So it is quite problematic. And then, there was this AI roadmap that was released last month with a bunch of milestones to achieve in September and October and for early next year. And one of them was FSD version 12.5.2 achieving a roughly 3-time improvement in miles between necessary intervention. And Tesla declared victory on that. They said, we achieved that, but then 3 times improvement between miles between necessary intervention compared to what? They never made that clear. And then if you actually look at the very limited data that we have, which is the crowdsourced data set, which now has over 200,000 miles, so it's not bad, but it's obviously not as good as Tesla said that they refused to release. And for the Tesla fan that always attack me and they go, yeah, Fred, why do you even use that? It's nothing, this data set. I mean, Elon himself positively acknowledged this data set as something. So like, go say that to Elon. But there's no actual way to massage the data into proving a 3 times improvement in miles between disengagement. There's just not. But now, what's the interesting part right now is that Elon, with the new comment, he specifically told us the baseline now, which is 12.5. So he said, we expect to see a roughly 5 or 6-fold improvement in miles between intervention with V13 compared to 12.5. And actually, looking at the year as a whole, the improvement in miles intervention, we think we will be at least 3 orders of magnitude. So that's a very dramatic. Well, that's nonsense. But anyway, the more precise thing here is V13 needs to show a 5 to 6-fold improvement in miles between disengagement compared to 12.5. He says miles between intervention here, but right after that in the call, Ashok Elwaswani, the head of FSD, confirmed that he was talking about critical disengagement, not intervention. Intervention is like crazy. Intervention would be any kind of input from the driver. So like when I tell the car to go back into the right lane every time it passes a car, like that would count as an intervention technically. So right now, if you're looking at V12.5, if you take an average of all the version together, we have 40,000 miles of data, which is, not too bad. We are at 138 miles between critical disengagement. So V12, if V13 does a 5 to 6x improvement, we end up at 600 to 800. I did the math for the, okay, I did the math right here. 690 miles to 828 miles between critical disengagement. Okay? With V13, which is supposedly coming next week. It's supposed to come in October. So we're going to be, within the next few weeks of testing, we should know if we should have a much better idea of how realistic, I know it's kind of funny to even say that, how realistic Elon is about his FSD timelines. There's going to be like hard data to show him like, hey, we know you've been wrong for the last 5 years in a row, telling us it's going to happen at the end of the year. But now we can actually like show you like you're being ridiculous when you say that. However, now that and then I say this, but like I wrote in the article, I wouldn't be shocked if V13 gets close to that, to be honest. Like maybe not 700, 800, but like close, maybe like within the 500-mile range. Why? It's supposed to come with on-park, park, and reverse in FSD. And these things alone will remove a ton of disengagement, because if you use FSD, you know that one of the biggest disengagement, like even if your drive is perfect, it will result in the disengagement, because once you arrive at the destination, most of the time, like depends on the occasion, but most of the time, the car just has no idea what to do and it's going to do something stupid that forces you to disengage. Do you have that experience, Ed?
Yeah, so I was just going to add, I have had that experience, but I was just going to add that for the first time, I went all the way from New Haven, Connecticut to where I live in Westchester, New York. No disengagements, traffic, like an hour and a half of driving.
An hour and a half, how many miles,
It's like close to 60 maybe.
And what's the mix between like highway driving and city driving?
50-50.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and it really did well. Like there was no, I don't want to say close calls, but there was no like, I don't know. It was basically just me watching. And that's like the first time that's happened. And I've been doing that drive for a little bit now. So I was like, oh, this is nice. Kind of figuring stuff out.
Yeah, and this is very possible. It's just it needs to do it like that every time without any issue. Right. That's the problem, which I'm gonna get into in a second. But like that alone, like probably when you arrive at your home though, like sometimes like it skipped your driveway and things like that, and you have to like, ooh, I give it a shot every time. Like I try like
that's exactly right.
Because I have a long driveway which is almost like a road, so I'm like, is it gonna detect it and go there? And no, it just blew right past every time. So if you have that. And if you have reverse too, like FSD is not able to reverse now. If you have reverse and you get stuck in a situation and the car gets itself out of the situation by itself, you just remove a lot of them. But here's the thing though, like I sound very optimistic about FSD when I say that. What I just described though is what Elon for years has been calling FSD feature complete. Like all the pieces of the puzzle are in there for the car to drive itself completely. It can park, it can unpark, it can reverse and do everything that it already does. So once you have that, which is, great accomplishment, great milestone. Elon said that it was going to be done like 3 years ago, but anyway. Once you have that, then that's when the March of the Nines that Elon has been talking about starts. The March of the Nines is the idea of like you need 99.99999 and then however numbers of nines you need of efficiency in the system, of reliability, of safety level, so that you have a vehicle that is safer than an average human. And that's the hard part. I thought Elon knew that. I thought everybody knew that, but apparently not. The other thing that's really interesting here is that we have a comment from Ashok that kind of give us like in between all that, Elon also like clarified the idea that by Q2, he said now he already said maybe Q3 of next year, Tesla is going to roll out its unsupervised full self-driving in California and Texas, depending on regulatory approval, of course. I think California would be extremely hard at this point because even Waymo had like to go through like a 6-month process from the application to getting the permit, and Tesla has yet to apply. So as far as we know, so it would be pretty hard. Texas would probably be easier, but also Texas require 100% liability on the side of the company that like the car owner has zero responsibility. Everything would be on Tesla, so it would be like a harder things for Tesla to take, I would assume. Anyway, what will be where Tesla needs to be to make that happen was kind of clarified in the call with Ashok saying that by Q2 next year, we should cross over the average in miles per critical intervention or collision in that case. So I added for humans here because what he means is like the average number of miles between collision for a human driver. That's Tesla. That's what Tesla wants to beat in order to enable its unsupervised self-driving, which, you know, you could argue whether that's a good metric. Like my main issue with it would be the fact that that's the average of times between collision for human drivers. So that includes all human drivers, and so I think there's some human drivers that drive the average down a lot, and you don't really want them in the in the data set. You want to be better than the best drivers, I think. But anyway. What is that number? So that's also something that can be argued, obviously. But Tesla already puts out that number in their safety reports. The Tesla is using the NHTSA number that says that there's 670,000 miles between collisions, between accidents. So Tesla needs to go from 138 miles between critical disengagement today to 600,000+ miles within the next 8 months. That's the goal here. A lot of words come to mind. Ambitious, delusional, lie. I don't know.
No,
No.
Not a lie if you believe it, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just a 400,000% increase. It's just a 4,080 100x increase in miles between this engagement. It's very doable. Look, I mean, if Tesla can make it work with V13 and it actually works as Elon says, and then the next month there's a similar update, and then the month after that there's a similar update, maybe I can believe it. But our experience has just not been anywhere close to that. Like, in our experience, Tesla had about 2 to 3x improvement in the last 3 years. At best, like if you massage the data as best as you can, they did that in 3 years. Now technically, it's now 4 years. I think FSD. Yeah, I think it just became 4 years old. So yeah, it's not. I just don't see that happening. All right, should we talk a little bit about our friends at Blue Eddy?
All right. Today's episode is sponsored by Blue Eddy, a leading provider of sustainable energy solutions specializing in portable power stations, solar generators, and energy storage systems. As a provider of dependable and portable energy solutions, Blue Eddy has become an industry leader with a presence in 100+ countries and is trusted by millions of customers worldwide. Its portfolio of clean, portable energy solutions continues to grow, offering its customers viable options for all uses and budgets. These solutions offer dependable power with plenty of plugs to connect devices. That portfolio includes the AC70, 180, and 200L, and Blue Eddy's latest technology, the hands-free all-in-one backpack power stations. Each hands-free backpack comes equipped with 5 output ports accessible from the side of the pack, as well as a foldable solar panel to replenish on the go using the sun's power alone. Learn more about the capabilities of the hands-free series and other portable power products at blueeddypower.com. And be sure to click the link at the YouTube description to take advantage of up to 50% off certain Blue Eddy products during its Halloween sale through October 31st. Thank you again to Blue Eddy for sponsoring.
It's pretty wild. You can have a 60-liter backpack with 700 watt power, half a kilowatt hour of energy storage, and 120 watt of solar just on you. Like you just carry that, you have that in your back, and you can get the solar out. It's pretty cool. All right, we also want to say a quick thank you to our friend at All Set Auto. They are one of the leaders in paint protection, but especially wraps for EVs.
All right. All Set Auto is North America's leader in paint protection and restyling services, offering colored wraps, paint protection film, window tints, ceramic coatings, and more exclusively on EVs. In fact, they have worked on over 7,000 electric vehicles, including having already wrapped over 300 Cybertrucks in colored PPF. The company currently offers the largest selection of colored PPF in the industry, with more than 25,000 options in gloss, matte, metallic, and even color shifting. All Set Auto currently operates in 15 markets across the U.S. and Canada and is seeking to award new franchise opportunities to qualified candidates who are passionate about the EV industry. To find a location near you or to get their free digital franchising brochure and market analysis, visit allsetauto.com. That's Tesla backwards, ALSET auto.com. All Set Auto, we don't protect cars, we protect EVs.
Super. Thank you, All Set. All right, we still have a few Tesla news to discuss and then some non-Tesla news. But at the end of the show, as usual, we are going to take you guys' comments and questions. I see a ton already, so we're going to try to get there as fast as we can. But we have some cool news to discuss too. But if you want our take on anything that we discussed today or any other topic in the EV world, you can put it in the comment section below. And if you do enjoy the show and you do enjoy the podcast and want to support us, you can obviously back our sponsor. That's always super helpful. You can also give us a thumbs up, a like, a subscribe. You can hit that notification button. And if you're listening on your podcast app right now, if you can give us a 5-star rating on that app, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, whatever, it helps a ton. It's free to do, so we appreciate it. All right. Where were we on the Tesla stuff? So the rollout we did. Oh, yeah, there was a brief comment from Elon about the Roadster. I mean, what
is this going to be a decade late, do you think?
We were tracking close to that now. Huh?
Yeah.
I mean, a decade late. So it was unveiled in 2017, but it was first planned to be released in 2020.
Okay, so we're only half a decade.
Yeah, at this point. So would like to say, I'm quoting Elon here, would like to thank our long-suffering deposit holders for the Tesla Roadster. If there's still people that gave the $200,000 deposit on this, it's insane. At this point, you are, if you did it in 2017, interest-free loan for almost a decade. It's crazy. The reason it hasn't come out yet is because the Roadster is not the icing on the cake. It's the same thing he says every time. Accelerator, like he says, like doesn't move the needle enough. It's just like icing on the cake, and blah 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 blah. It's just a bunch of reasons not to do it. But he says we're close to finalizing the design on that, which is crazy because the design was supposed to be finalized like every year for the last 5 years. It's truly going to be something spectacular. You know, a friend of mine, Peter Thiel, and sometimes people think that Peter Thiel and I are rivals. We're really good friends. we know, Elon. we know. You have a little project you're working on together right now that I think is taking a lot of your time. It's called electing Donald Trump. But Peter was lamenting on how the future doesn't have flying cars. We'll see. So he's hinting again that it's going to be a flying car. Like, no one cares about the Roadster being a flying car. We want Tesla to just build that halo, like insane light, like a lighter version of the Plaid would be awesome. A lighter and like maybe more supercar of the Model S Plaid. I think that's what most people want. Am I crazy?
I don't even want that. I want like a normally fast car, like a 2.5 second, and it goes 250 miles. just a light car.
Yeah, I know. Okay, you want it cheap. You want it much cheaper than that, than the Roadster, like you mean.
Sure. I mean,
I think, but I guess the Roadster is going to be a $250,000
yeah,
car. So, like, what
that's crazy.
I want to see what Tesla can do with the $250,000 car, not a plane. I think that's what's appealing to me. But yeah, then he did comment on our friend Earl. Shout out to Earl of Frunk Puppy. He said that finishing engineering this year, production start next year. So technically the same timeline, but then he says aiming to have release candidate design drivable late summer. Tri-motor drive system of advanced battery work were important precursor. I mean, tri-motor drive system, it's been in the Model S Plaid for how long? Like it's been a while already. So I don't know if that's really. Oh, that was from 2021. Like, I thought that was a new comment.
Yeah, I don't think he talks
It's basically the same
Earl
thing he
anymore.
said. It's basically the same thing he said. Oh my god. He said the same thing, and I just assumed it
recycling
was
old
now.
tweets.
Yeah, it's Jamie putting old tweet in his post now. But at the same time, I think Earl sent me that tweet too this week, so I don't know.
Maybe
All right.
Elon retweeted it or something.
Maybe. Oh no, I think MKBHD retweeted that tweet.
That
I
makes
think that's why it's resurfacing right now. Anyway, good news on the earnings. It's the energy storage business doing very well, achieving a 30% gross margin right now. Sequentially was down, but like don't get on Tesla for that. Like they are dealing with giant project here that if they don't get turned on by the electric utility, so there's things that are out of Tesla's control, can result in them not being able to count them as deployment. So the deployment went down from 9.4 to 6.9 gigawatt hour, but that's still up 75% year over year. So let's congratulate them on that. And then, and I think this is only the beginning, because Tesla also disclosed that, 30% gross margin, impressive. Powerwall achieved record deployment in Q3. Tesla recently said that they are able to produce 700,000 Powerwalls per year. So that's over like 2 gigawatt a quarter, 2 gigawatt hour. They said that the Electrek Megafactory ramp continues successfully, with Electrek demonstrating 200 megapacks production per week, which is an annual rate of 40 gigawatt hour, which was the planned full capacity of the factory. So Tesla now could technically deploy like 12 gigawatt hour per year between per quarter, between Megapack and Powerwall. So that's massive. As of Q3, over 100,000 Powerwall were enrolled in virtual power plant programs, delivering additional financial value to owners while providing much-needed support to grid during period of stresses. The Shanghai Megafactory remains on track to begin shipping Megapacks in Q1 2025. So on top of now the Electrek Megafactory achieving its production rate of 40 gigawatt hour, shipments are going to start next quarter in Shanghai, which also aims to ramp up to 40 gigawatt hour. So Tesla's energy storage business is booming. However, what I just read, the old thing that I just read right here, that's the entire section in Tesla's earnings for energy generation and storage. If you haven't caught that, there was nothing in there about energy generation. It's just energy storage, because energy generation, which historically has been solar power for Tesla, is gone from the company, basically. Tesla is not talking about it. It's not reporting deployment anymore. It's gone completely. We've been reporting on that. Obviously, Tesla has been phasing out the business, relying on third party, selling more of the gateways and the solar inverters instead, so that they control the brain behind the system for the virtual power plant products that they just discussed. I think this one is pretty obvious. Like, Elon was being sued by Tesla shareholders for the SolarCity acquisition. And his defense was that no, it wasn't a bailout. I wasn't bailing out my family who owned the company and operated them, and myself, because I was the owner of the company. I wanted to make it part of Tesla because I thought it would thrive within Tesla. It would be important for Tesla to have that. And obviously, the deployment were going down under Tesla the whole time, but Tesla kept reporting it. And as soon as he won the lawsuit earlier this year or late last year, I don't remember, Tesla stopped reporting solar deployments. I think it's pretty obvious what happened there. All right.
Yeah,
Earlier today, we saw that. So earlier this week, we reported that the Model Y refresh is supposedly going, according to reports in China, going into production at Gigafactory Shanghai, into trial production at Gigafactory Shanghai this week. And sure enough, this morning we saw that Tesla, there was some Model Y with heavy camouflage in the front and back, which matches the Model Y refresh prototypes that we've seen before. Spotted in the higher volume, like there was a whole truckload of it in China. So it does appear that this news was correct, that Tesla is starting trial production in Gigafactory Shanghai. And historically, when Tesla launched a new vehicle in the last few years, it has been first in Shanghai. So it makes sense. It's coming there. But the launch, Tesla will not launch this thing until next year because they've said it several times that there is no refresh to Model Y coming this year because we don't want to do the. I keep forgetting. What's the effect? For cells.
Osborne effect.
The Osborne effect. Thank you.
And I mean, it would probably go to China first, right? That's what always happens.
Well, the production starts first in China. I think Tesla has the best production team in China. So they lead new product launches there. The Tesla learns from how the Chinese team launched a product, and then Tesla brings them back to everywhere else. Now there's 3 other factories that produce the Model Y now, so they're gonna have to bring that there fairly quickly, obviously. So I think that's why you see a trial production now in China, even though we're another 2 months in the year. Is that Tesla needs to nail that in China now, so that then push that knowledge and updates to the other factories, and then probably early next year you're going to see the switch over in production, so that the production doesn't slow down, because Model Y is Tesla's bread and butter, so they cannot slow down production too much. So there's going to be a slowdown obviously from the switchover, but Tesla's going to try to make it as smooth as possible, smoother than Model 3 last year. Model 3 switchover was not super smooth and did result in Tesla's slowdown in production and deliveries. This is pretty cool. Tesla unveiled this week Oasis. It's a new concept for a supercharger station with its own solar farm and its own Megapack powered microgrid. So we already knew about this project. We reported on it earlier this year, but now Tesla officially unveiled it. It's going to be in Lost Hills, which is it's on the I-5, the Interstate 5, between the Bay Area and Los Angeles, which, a lot of Tesla traffic there, a lot of EV traffic, period, and superchargers can now charge more than just Teslas. So this is quite wow. This is kind of, when we reported on this earlier this year, I called it, what did I call it? I didn't even put that in the article. Pretty sure I put it. I call it something like a glimpse at the future. Oh, yeah, I have it right here. A glimpse at the future of charging. So combining solar, combining energy storage, and combining also this thing right here that you see. Those are a lot of stalls, pull-through stalls for trucks with trailers and just semis and all that, so that you can have bigger vehicles charge easily without having to unhook their trailers. So this thing has 168 superchargers, and yet only 1.5 megawatt of grid connection. That's because there's also 11 megawatt of ground-mounted and canopy solar on 30 acres, and 10 Tesla megawatts for 39 megawatt hour of storage capacity. And Max D. Ziegler, the head of charging at Tesla, said that Tesla plans to have enough room to double the size of this station in terms of superchargers. You see, there's plenty of room around. So they're gonna be able to increase the grid capacity. But the whole idea behind this project is that they have to put Megapacks in there and solar, because they couldn't get the capacity from the grid in time. So the grid cannot come and accommodate 168 supercharger stalls. They need to have their own microgrid there. So that's very interesting. And it's also could help Tesla manage the cost there. Obviously, the upfront cost is massive because 10 megapacks and 11 megawatts of solar. But that's going to kill all the peak charging and all that for for Tesla, and over time it's probably going to be financially sustainable. So congrats to Tesla and the team. And I just want to do a quick mention, because obviously, a lot of the Elon lemmings out there, they like to justify his crazy things that he does, like firing the entire charging team. And other people like to say, hey, look, these things are still happening, even though he fired the old charging team, and he rehired some of them too, including that guy. D. Ziegler was on the Tesla team before, and he was rehired after getting fired. This project, like I said, we reported on it in February, so it's been in the work way before, way before the team was fired. So there's a lot of projects right now, and I also don't want to devalue the existing team right now. I'm sure they're doing a lot. They're working super hard to bring a lot of superchargers, and kudos for them. But they also are benefiting from a lot of the work of the previously bigger team that they are now just coming to fruition. So let's not just make things up. And last piece of Tesla news, a quick word on the range extender that's been updated with a new timeline, a bit of a delay, and also a range cut. So originally, Tesla said that the range extender that goes in the bed of the Cybertruck, takes about a third of the bed and needs to be installed by Tesla, will increase the range of the dual motor Cybertruck from 240 miles to 470 miles. They said 470 plus miles, and the Cyber Beast from 320 to 440. Now Tesla has adjusted that for the dual motor at 445 plus, so removing about 25 miles from it. And the same for the tri-motor, though. It hasn't changed for the tri-motor, which is interesting. They also pushed the delivery timeline or production timeline from early 2025 to mid 2025. So it's going to be like a year and a half between Tesla starts delivering the Cybertruck to start delivering the range extender, which doesn't even bring the Cybertruck to the originally promised range when they unveiled it in 2019. And it's going to cost you $16,000. I'm really curious to see the take rate on that thing, to be honest with you. I don't think it's going to be crazy.
As long as there's no more drops in capacity or whatever, like if this is the final form even.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, moving on from Tesla news. Scout EV, Scout Motors, Scout brand. Anyway, the Volkswagen Scout brands that had at its time in the 80s, the 60s to 80s, I think they existed. Was it before your time set?
No, my grandfather actually had one of those.
Oh, really?
He had an International Harvester Scout, and he had a plow on it. It was crazy.
Ah, that's cool.
Yeah, it was like I don't know, single digits.
Yeah, those were meant to be like very rugged too at the time. And
yeah, I mean, International Harvester was a farming company that made the original Scout. Cool.
Well, they finally relaunched now. So we've been talking about it for a while. Volkswagen kind of revived the brand a few years ago, and they are building a factory for it in South Carolina, North Carolina. South Carolina. And yesterday was the official unveiling of the first two vehicles that they're going to bring here. So we wanted to bring Scooter on because he was there at the event, but he's unfortunately not able to join us right now. But we can give you like a good idea. First of all, let's take a look at these things, because they are interesting looking. It's kind of a retro look with some modernity to it. A lot of people are drawing comparison to Rivian, which, especially in the interior, I think is fair. On the exterior, I mean, there's just so many ways you can make an SUV and a pickup truck.
Yeah, and I think both are like great looking vehicles.
Yeah.
I noticed the Scout did do the quarter, 3 quarters, 1 quarter, like the opening in the back.
Yeah.
Same as Rivian, so you can kind of sit on the back and be covered from the rain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not bad. And the interior, though, I see like a lot of resemblance with Rivian, but I mean, it makes sense because if you're not getting copied, you're probably not getting something right. And the Rivian interior is right. Like they got it right.
Great artist copy, right?
Mm-hmm, exactly. Like if no one is copying you, you should be worried because you're probably not doing something good. All right. In terms of specs here, so the idea, this is what we just showed you was the Traveler SUV. So the Scout Traveler. expected to deliver over 7,000 pounds of towing capacity, 2,000 pounds of payload capacity, up to 350 miles on all-electric range. And why do we say all-electric range? Is because there's going to be an optional range extender, so gasoline power range extender. So we can get into that in just a minute. But before we do, also there's 350 kilowatt charging. It's going to come with NACS as standard, so awesome. 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds, thanks to 1,000 pounds of torque. You can fit up to 35 inches tire on this, over a foot of ground clearance, 3 feet of water fording. Is that fording?
Yeah,
Is that how you call it?
Crossing.
Yeah. Front sway bar disconnect and rear mechanical lockers and robust suspension options. So like this is supposed to be like a very robust vehicle on the 800 volt architecture. Like I said, 350 kilowatt of charging. And then the other vehicle is the Terra pickup EV. Terra is this thing right here. Also looking pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah, those look like they just have fun written all over them. I don't know why.
Yeah, I love it. All right. This thing has so up to 10,000 pounds of towing capacity. So you have more towing capacity on the pickup truck. And you have a 5.5 foot bed on this thing with 220 volts outlets and one 240 volt outlets in the back. So awesome that too. Bidirectional charging capacity, over the air software update capacity, USB-C outlets all around the vehicle. The front storage is enough to fit a whole golf clubs. I mean, golf gloves or golf bag. Like you're just gonna put some loose gloves in there. A gym bag, a small cooler. Yeah, I mean, we don't have actually any pictures of it. I don't know if Scooter got some. All right, so the big thing, the thing that irks some people or some others are happy with it, is this range extender idea. Again, to be fair, you have 350 miles of battery electric range on that thing. So it's a lot to start with. Like it's as good as like the Cybertruck, it's as good as other electric pickup and SUVs. You can increase it to up to 500 miles, so an extra 150 miles with this range extender, what they call a gas power generator, an harvester they call it, which is pretty cool. And they do, instead of calling it a PHEV, they call it an extended range electric vehicle or EREV. And I think this is the big thing here, because I mean, we're not super hyped about PHEVs at Electrek. We do review them every now and again. Our main complaints, our main things is like a lot of EVs don't have enough power or range on battery electric, meaning that if you use too much power, they switch to the internal combustion engine, or the range itself is too limited to be very useful. However, there's other EVs that the PHEVs that don't have that. They have over 50 miles of range, which covers most people daily driving, and enough power to use the car normally. And then you only need that extended range for when you do road trips and things like that. The other problem with PHEVs is people don't use them properly. A lot of people use them like hybrids and they don't actually charge the battery. You need to charge the battery pack in order for it to give you some value. So they just, fill up the tank and use it like a regular hybrids. The tank powers the battery and then the battery powers the powertrain. So not ideal. But some other people that used it properly, then it can be a great vehicle. If you charge it every night and you use it for smaller distances, it makes a ton of sense. I was talking to my girlfriend's grandparents last weekend, and they have a plug-in hybrids, the Kona plug-in hybrids. Is that the Kona or the Kia one? I'm not sure. The Niro or the Kona? Yeah, either of. They're the same car basically. Anyway, he said that the last full tank of gas that he got lasted him 4,000 kilometers. which is pretty damn good. So that's how he thinks of it, because he always had gas cars all his life. So he thinks of it like that. But really what happened is, like, most of the time he used the car for short periods, for short distances, plug it when he comes back home, and that's it. So he never actually used the gas on it unless he goes longer distance. So if people use their PHEVs like that, tremendous impact on the environment. It's great. It's arguably better than the BEVs that you are carrying a giant battery pack that you're not using most of the time.
Yeah, we talked about that sometimes. Say you have 100 kilowatt hours of battery and you put all of that in a, Model S, for instance. Then you have one EV. But if you split it up into, like 5, 20 kilowatt hour battery packs, and most people can commute back and forth to work, if the bottleneck is battery production, which it currently is, that puts 5 people commuting on electricity versus one. And so at the moment, I think PHEVs make sense. I don't know that they make sense long term, because you do have 2 powertrains, and that's not gonna last long.
But let's compare this to the Cybertruck and extended range that we just discussed. I cannot argue that the Tesla's extended range battery pack has much more value than this.
Right.
It's hard to sell
in this world. Yeah.
Yeah.
And as soon as the gas stations start closing, yes.
That is different, like long term, but like for this thing gonna work for like the next 10, 15 years, whatever.
And I wonder what that's gonna look like. Is it gonna be something that you can actually take out? Is it
that's
just gonna be like
question.
a generator in the back?
Yeah. I don't know exactly about that.
Because that would be cool too, because then you could say, oh, I'm not going on a long trip for a while, just leave it in the garage. And then you got more space.
Yeah, that's right. And if that's not the case, if you have to order it like that and then it stays in the vehicle, I'm curious to see what's going to be the take rate on it versus people are just buying the BEV version of it.
Yeah.
The price is going to be interesting too. But all right. Speaking of the price, the Traveler SUV will start at a retail below $60,000. The entry trim is expected to be as low as $50,000, including available incentives. So probably around the range of 55, 57, or something like that. And the Terra truck is also going to be under $60,000 with incentive expected to be closer to $51,500. And those vehicles are going to enter production in 2027, though. So we're still a few years away from this. But give them a shot. They just revived that brand like 2 years ago.
Yeah, and I think they actually owned it. Like, I think it was part of their portfolio. They were just like not doing anything with it.
Yeah,
maybe
exactly.
Scott Keogh or somebody was like, "Hey, let's make this." The other thing that's weird
he's the
about
CEO now of it, right, Scott?
Yeah, and he was the U.S. Volkswagen CEO. The other weird thing is Volkswagen just entered into that big deal, software deal with Rivian. So they have, Scout, and then they have their partnership with Rivian. It'll be interesting to see how that shakes out.
Yeah, agreed. All right, we're already almost an hour in, and we haven't touched the comments yet, so we're going to try to go a little bit faster. And the rest of the news is not as heavy, too. Chevy launched officially the cheapest version of the Equinox EV this week, the $35,000 version. So they came through with the $35,000, which is something a lot of people were worried about because, with all the inflation since they originally announced the vehicle, we thought that the cheapest one wouldn't come at the $35,000 price. But now you have the 2025 Chevy Equinox EV LT forward-wheel drive, which I know, it's a forward-wheel drive, it's not for everyone, at $35,000 flush with 319 miles of range. A lot of people are going to go for that. You can lease this thing for $299 a month. Most people coming from a gas SUV, from a gas SUV to that, it's a free car. You probably spend that a month on gas. So yeah, it's something worth considering. Like, this is the LT trim is a little bit more standard and everything, but I still think like it's a nicer interior than in the original Bolt and things like that. So, which was $35,000. $40,000, I think.
I think originally it was 40, and then it came down to in the 20s.
Yeah. And you see 319 miles of range is no joke.
Yep.
All right. Well, you have two solid state news, and I kind of bundle them up together because I want to just slowly try to introduce this idea and people that are following the industry that solid states are actually coming now. Like the solid state battery, it's been like the technology of the future for EVs for a while, but I think the time is happening now. So you had QuantumScape this week that they released their latest sample. They announced that they have a very interesting way to bring their things to production with partners that they're not disclosing, even though they have investment from other companies, especially PowerCo, which is Volkswagen's company too. And so they just moved now to the latest QSE5B sample, and they released the data on it, which is impressive. So 844 watt-hour per liter, or 301 watt-hour per kilogram. So this is on par with like the very high-end level, if not better than the high-end level lithium-ion batteries that we see commercially right now. And of course, it brings a lot of improvement in terms of like safety and reliability. They tested that thing. I don't know if it's this simple exactly. Maybe it was the previous one. I remember them saying that they tested it up to 300 Celsius, 300 degrees Celsius, and it didn't burst into flame. While most lithium-ion batteries, which is not really a big problem, it does happen, and it is more of a problem of EV naysayer, like using this as an attack point for EVs, that they catch on fire often. But that will kill that completely because of that. And they are achieving decent cycles on them. I don't know if they share we don't have the numbers on cycle on this. 10 to 80% charging in under 15 minutes. So those are the big things that solid states are going to bring. Faster charging, even though it's like kind of slightly faster charging from the top end of the market right now, because we were getting pretty fast too with lithium ion, more traditional lithium ion, non-metal batteries. Let's put it like that. It does, like, this is early days of solid state, and it's already showing top of the line energy density. So I expect it's going to increase from there, and more safety. So all the things that we want to see. So QuantumScape says they're on track now for their next generation separator production. That's going to result in their next sample cells, which is going to lead then to the commercialization of those batteries. And then a competitor to them is Factorial. Missed that one. They announced this week that the Dodge Charger electric that's coming to market in 2026, pretty soon, the next 2 years, is going to feature their solid-state batteries in them. The FEST battery, the Factorial Electrolyte System technology, is going to be using them to make them solid-state, and going to unlock a 600 miles of range, apparently, at less cost. So I'm going to see what that looks like. But these things are coming. All right. Waymo announced today that they secured a $5.6 billion funding round to expand the company into more vehicles. So we talked about them doing the Hyundai deal for the Ioniq 5 recently. They're gonna expand add a lot of vehicles to their fleet and enter in new markets. So they need a lot of funding for that. So obviously Alphabet/Google led the round, but also other investors, including all the big names. So Horowitz, Fidelity, Perry Quick, Silver Lakes, T. Rowe Price, which was also a big Tesla investor a few years ago. So in 2025, Austin is already in Austin, no?
I believe so.
Okay, maybe it's ongoing. It's happening now, but they're expanding 25 in Austin and Atlanta, and they want to expand the number of paid weekly trips. So they already had 100,000 paid weekly trips. So they must have some decent revenue. I mean, it's nothing compared to the size of the company, obviously, because they're still very much testing. But they increased tenfold over last year the paid weekly trips. So that's good. Egon Durbin, the co-CEO of Silver Lake, said, while AI is only just beginning to capture the public examination, Waymo has been working to bring its endless possibility to the world of physical transportation for years. The Waymo driver leads in earning trust by safely actualizing the value of potential AI through cutting-edge research, practical solution, and vastly expanding scope and scale of real-world experience. Sounds like a fair description of what Waymo is trying to do. Oh, yeah, I thought a quick note on the is that Xiaomi? Is that how you pronounce that?
Xiaomi.
Xiaomi said you're right. Xiaomi. So Xiaomi came out of nowhere earlier this. Well, I mean last year, and then production earlier this year with their SU7. They call it a Model 3 competitor because it's the same pricing as a Model 3, but when you look at it, it looked like a Porsche Taycan, and they surprise everyone. Like they're a personal electronics brand. Well, I mean, they make a bunch of things. They make a lot of electronics, and they got into the EV market earlier this year, and they already ramp up to 70,000 units in just a few months. They delivered 70,000 cars, and now they announced that they are progressing on their factory. The goal was 100,000 units this year, which they expect they're going to beat a month early. But now they are working on the second phase of the factory, which is going to ramp up to 300,000 units next year. This is impressive. Like going 70, like the first year of production, you're going to hit over 100,000 units. Second year of 300, they say 300,000, but I kind of believe them if they are able to do 100,000 the first year. And very impressive. Of course, this thing is like dirt cheap too. It's like $30,000 it starts at. Great specs, super nice electronics inside. And it just got a new fan too. None other than Jim
Close.
Farley, the
Cousin.
CEO of Ford, said this week that he's been. I just opened a video. Where is it? Okay. So the CEO of Ford this week said that he's been testing the SU7 from Xiaomi for the last 6 months. And he said, I'm sure he said jokingly, but he said he doesn't want to give it back because he liked it so much. Which, it's a testament to just how incredible these Chinese EVs are becoming now. You have to give him credit for that.
It's kind of dangerous to say something like that, though. Yeah.
When you're the CEO of a major automaker.
Yeah.
I agree. All right, let's get to the comment section.
Maybe Ford's going to sell some of those here or something. All right, we have Antonia Hall of Connecticut. When is Elon coming for the Electrek interview? We don't yet have a date and time.
You guys need to go tweet him, or X him, or post on X about it, and tell him to go on the show and defend his FSD position. Would love to have a friendly talk to him about it.
All right, when are we getting our Roadsters? Before or after January 2026? I'm thinking after or
yeah.
never. Thanks to Adrian.
Adriana from London, thank you for liking the podcast.
Antonio Halgo, did I hear Elon wrong, or did he mention the Tesla mission statement at the event as if robots and AI would get us there? I don't remember that particular piece.
I don't know exactly what you mean by that, but they did add AI to the mission statement. Now it's not just about sustainability of the economy, electric transportation, and renewable energy. It's also like be master of the world with AI.
All right. Carl, who's a little bit of a pessimist, when you present unexplainable profitability and your CFO splits, it's just Tesla misrepresenting. They're all about the alternative facts.
So I have a lot of pushback on that. However, like this last quarter, I have to admit that it is surprising just how big of a bump in gross profit on the automotive side they got. To the level of being suspicious to a degree. Now, to be fair, there's a lot of things you can do in accounting to make things look better without being like completely fraud. So it might not be that bad, but like Tesla said last quarter, the management said that they warned that there might be cost there might be cost increase. They guided that there might be cost increase in Q3 coming, and now there was like 195 points increase in gross profit. It's surprising.
All right, looking to get into an R1S from a Model X. Don't suppose you could do a comparison article on your Rivian Tesla experience for us turncoats? I had a Model X for a while, but I had a Model Y for a long time between, and I don't feel comfortable with the Model X. Like my experience with the Model X wasn't great, but it was also a lease, and it was a loaner. Yeah. So, I don't know if I can do that, but well, I mean, we should do the
I mean,
second
you could
comparison.
do a broader comparison without like with the vehicle itself without
Yeah,
too
long story
much
short, I would just
referencing your
go for
own
the Rivian,
experience with
to
it.
be honest.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Antonio again, Autoline After Hours yesterday commented yesterday that if Elon gets a cabinet position, so assuming Trump gets elected in the government, he might try to influence the regulatory government in favor of FSD. What do you
I
think
mean, he
about that?
literally almost said it on the call too.
Yeah,
He complained about the fact that the regulatory framework for self-driving is state-based, and he said it should be federal. And he said it
that's
should be. He said it several times. It should be federal, and of course, he bought himself a place in the administration, in the Trump administration, if he does win. So
but I don't disagree with that. Like creating
no,
50
no.
different standards, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, so the problem is, as Antonio highlights, is that he might screw it in a way that it would work. It would be easier for Tesla to do it, and that could be problematic, obviously, because Tesla has a lot more cavalier approach to self-driving than other companies, and he doesn't want to have like remote control of the cars and things like that, that a lot of markets do require. So I don't know.
All right, you got a mysterious alert that you need an $800 airbag replacement on your Tesla. That would be a pretty shady way to generate new revenue to unsuspecting marks.
1,800.
Okay. All right, 2024 has so many improvements compared to the 2018 that FSD transfer is just icing on the cake when buying a 2024. Yeah, I'm actually thinking about upgrading my 2020 Model Y to 2024 toward the end of the quarter. As we all know, that's the best time to do it because they're just trying to juice the numbers and they give you all kinds of incentives.
Though, like I said earlier in the show, though, that this quarter might be like one of those quarter that Tesla is already going all out early in the quarter to build up their orders early. So that might be the best we got too. But I mean, the best is already pretty good, like 0% APR, like this
Yeah.
deep discounts on the vehicles, FSD transfer already on. So it's like doesn't get much better than that. I mean, I guess maybe at the end of the quarter to push for deliveries, they give like a few thousand miles of free supercharging, something like that. Like,
Yeah. Also, we have the Juniper coming, right?
yeah, you want to switch Model Y to Model Y?
Yeah, probably. All right. I think it's a bit harsh to hold Elon to things he said off the cuff 8 years ago. Superchargers being open to other OEMs and being a profit center is a good thing. Tesla is evolving. Don't know about the service stuff, but
Yeah.
superchargers, now that they're doing, other EVs, I guess you kind of want to see them make a profit on that. That they're not just.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and I wrote that in the article. In the article, I was like, a supercharger is like, and I said that I think on the show earlier too. Like, they could be still adjusting thing to the. I think you want it to be marginally profitable. That's what you want. You just don't want it to squeeze people for money at the superchargers, because that will negatively affect the EV experience, and we are still convincing people to get into EVs. So you don't want to do that. I think that's the main thing. The service thing is more what I was telling him, because he said that making money off service is a terrible thing, and it wasn't an off-the-cuff comment. He said that several times. Also, with the supercharging not being a profit center, he said that several times. And
Yeah,
and
not off the
what
cuff.
the service
That
thing?
was part of his remarks, prepared
Yeah.
remarks.
Yeah, and not only that, like, it hurts me personally because I've used him saying that to convince people to go into to get Teslas. Like, when they say, "Yeah, what? I mean, they own their own service center. Like, what is that about? Like, how does that work? Like, if I need service and if they fail, if they close, like, I'm just left in the." I'm like, and are they going to be expensive? I'm like, I use Elon's word. Elon doesn't want to make money off service. They want to make the car as reliable as possible, so they get as little service as much as possible. Because they own their service center, they have a quick feedback loop. Like, I use all these talking points to sell that. So the fact that he's not following through on that is frustrating to a degree.
All right. What do you think of the autopilot team putting out their goals for September and then meeting them versus Elon's worthless commentary on the subject? Are they purposely elevating more serious voices?
I wish they would do that, but like I said earlier, I'm not happy with exactly how that went down, and that was not Elon celebrating the victory of achieving those goals. It was a shock. So the end of the program. So I think our shock might be a little bit compromised, to be honest with you, on that front, because he said that he's going Elon. He's repeating a lot of the things Elon says, and he celebrated the victory of the program with, again, no evidence whatsoever that the 3x improvement in miles between disengagement was achieved. Zero evidence. If you have some, please give it to me. I don't have any evidence that was accomplished.
All right. Do you think Elon's political views have made Electrek slightly anti-Elon/Tesla? We don't like necessarily any politics being included in his, like, you running a car company.
Yeah.
Just shut.
Yeah, I mean,
Don't comment.
We are no comment. We can talk about it a little bit, because I mean, it is election time. People are going crazy, and like, we are one of the rare independent media out there. Like, what you see right now is like, the set owns the whole publication, and I am the editor in chief. So I run the editorials, and Seth, if someone would be putting pressure on me, is Seth, and I talk to Seth like a few DMs during the week, and what you see right now, what we talk. So I have never got any pressure from Seth whatsoever. We are both pretty apolitical people. Like, we don't like to get into politics that much. And if you've been following our content, you know that have our issues with Elon way before he exposed himself as being right wing and specifically for Trump. So I like, obviously, is recent news of social media, a lot of misinformation and all that, has affected our view of Elon and maybe by association Tesla to a degree. But I don't think it has to do with politics. I think it's more of the misinformation that he's sharing.
All right. Over time, Tesla will be the dominant charging provider when you're on the road, but they have already best reputation for reliability. They deserve the profits for relieving range anxiety for all. Can't argue with that. They make the best chargers. They have for a while. They invested in it. They've done all the work. They deserve to make money.
Oh, they won charging. They won.
Yeah. Question: I want FSD to learn my driving style. Once Tesla solves FSD, do you think they will allow the software to adjust to the driving style of each driver, that we can train it? Well, I think somebody who likes to drive in the left lane has been training my Tesla. So
every one of our Tesla, it has been like, in my review that I put on FSD this week, I put a review because I did like 200 miles on it last weekend. And you need to separate like intervention with disengagement, because if you count intervention, how many times I have to force it to go back in the right lane, it's insane on the highway. Like, it only goes back into the right lane if you have a car pushing you in the back. If you don't, it stays in the left lane, which is not how you're supposed to drive.
Yep. All right, there's some chit chat going on here. Let's get back here. Electrek, in my opinion, is the most fact-based, mature thinking journalism. Oh, look, I found your alternative handle. Yeah. As opposed to Elon, to play devil's advocate, Electrek is biased towards sticking to the original mission statement of Tesla. I'm glad you think that. That's us.
Yeah, that's fair. We are completely biased for the acceleration of the electrification of the transportation industry and renewable energy. I don't feel ashamed to be biased towards that.
No, it's totally true. We're totally biased towards EVs. All right, so we got some commentary. Question: have you guys tried out the VinFast VF8 yet? That thing is leasing for $0 down and $200 a month. The hardware is good. The software will improve over time. I can't wait to get one. Didn't your dad get one of those?
Yeah, my dad has one, so I really need to review it, because he's been asking me to review it too. So I need to get to that soon. Maybe I'll be able to next month. So I'm going back to Montreal for a few weeks, and I live in Shawinigan, near where my parents live. But once I come back, I should do that, because he's happy with it. He's quite happy with it. He had some problem with it, software problem too, but they are like surprisingly responsive. Like they really there's a quick feedback loop, and they are improving the product fast. And the hardware is indeed pretty good, because VinFast was producing like BMW vehicles for them for a while, so they know what they're doing, and it feels a lot like a BMW vehicle to some degree, just with the VinFast powertrain in there. And yeah, the software needs some improving to do. That's completely fair.
All right. Question: do some of the FSD disengagements have to do with the driver comfort and confidence? If so, will that improve over time and help the numbers? That's a good
Yeah.
point, because sometimes I disengage just because like I'm not digging the way it drives, or I want to go somewhere off the map or whatever. So that could be part of it, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's why they separate the disengagements with the critical disengagements. So if that has to do with comfort, I mean confidence is a little bit harder, because sometimes, like, depending on your level of confidence, you might like let it go further, but then it can crash out at some point in that. So it's difficult, but that's why they try to separate critical disengagement with just disengagement, because it's not going as fast enough for you, because it's ping-ponging a little bit too much between the lanes, something like that.
All right, I'm just going to go through it because we're getting kind of late. What's the point of the front bumper camera, since they're putting it on some new vehicles? Is that going to be necessary hardware for FSD? Do you think Juniper Model Y will have the front bumper camera?
I wish they would.
Yeah.
It is useful. It is useful,
Yeah.
especially places like there's a lot of need pull the potholes and things like that. Like
Hills.
you need to be able to detect that and get around it, and to maybe have a better look at the curbs too, to not hit the curbs, because Tesla FSD has been known to hit curbs at times. So yeah, there's value in that. I hope that they move to that.
How do we get Elon to stop over-promising and under-delivering? I'd like to see Tesla be more like Apple. With Apple, when they show you the iPhone 16, you can buy it the following week.
Well, Apple Intelligence. I have an iPhone 16 that I bought with all the thing that they told me that was going to happen with Apple Intelligence, and I still don't have it. It's coming next week, though, right?
Maybe Apple's going to be more like Tesla.
No, but obviously, you rather be surfing as a point. Like, this is Elon needs to do that, but I don't know that you can get Elon to do anything right now. I think he is in his own world.
All right. Antonio's in the middle of a project that's putting Tesla roof on top. Expensive, but the thing is going to be part of solar part of Tesla. I might be one of the only people that Tesla roof so he's in the neighborhood.
Yeah, how much are you paying for that, Antonio? I'm hearing some pricing issues still with the with the solar roof. Like and since they haven't really ramped it up in like high volume, hasn't really achieved economy of scales, which is annoying.
Rudy Halbright says, my question is, will the Juniper Model Y come with an onboard inverter like the Cybertruck? Has to with vehicle to grid, which they promised to support by 2025. I think that's pretty likely. I think there's a lot of upside for that. And not only that, but Tesla can use that as part of their virtual power plants.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge, like you're talking about an 80 or 70 kilowatt hour battery. That's like many, many, many.
I mean, the new inverter is expected to be the same one that they developed for the Powerwall 3 too, like that is bidirectional. So I think they are going just to use like the same version of that, like in everything. So it would make sense.
All right. Oasis is good branding. I agree. I like that. Heads up display we don't need that.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. I'm sure Elon fired the charging team so he could give some of the team members much larger raises than otherwise possible. Don't think that's true. I did hear that he did fire them because their leader would not comply to his. She wouldn't fire. She wouldn't fire the people that he wanted to fire. The percentage.
Yeah, that was
so he made an example
of not only her but the entire team.
Yeah, right.
Which is nuts.
Crazy. I had my suspension fixed on my 110K Model 3 in August. Rear knuckle assembly right was $690 while the left was $425. They couldn't explain why, and then looked at each part discounted, probably price increase. That's weird.
Yeah, it is weird to pay $200 more for the same thing and just in reverse.
International Harvester also made semi-trucks for years. Yeah, that's true. And I wonder when VW bought them, what they bought them for. Like, what did they use? Maybe it was just some leftovers. I will probably cancel my original Cybertruck reservation. I will probably get a Ford Maverick 2025 Lariat. You can get it with everything for $40K. I don't know. I would be nice if the
power.
Maverick came with a plug-in version.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The We Robot event was an affirmation that Tesla will pivot to autonomous vehicles as long as the way forward in achieving the highest efficiency and utilizing renewable energy. We're going to know soon.
Soon.
Okay. The Scout products and upcoming Jeep will likely pressure Rivian. Do you see a price cut on their models soon? I don't know if Rivian can cut prices. They're trying to make profit on each one, and they're not there yet.
Yeah, and also Scout is coming in 2027, so they still have a lot of time here.
Yeah. The R3 will be up, or the R2 will be. Mm-hmm. The other thing wrong with PHEVs is that they have battery defects, and then you can't use them safely. I don't know if that's unique to PHEVs.
Yeah, that could be true to BEVs too.
DC fast charging specs on the Equinox, they are not great, but they come from a Chevy Bolt, which 54 kilowatt. I think that DC fast charging on the Equinox is 110 kilowatts, but I think the charging curve is not great either. So people are complaining, but for $35,000, kind of what you'd expect. The Dodge Charger is a very nice car, niche car. How many can be sold to make it profitable?
Not a lot.
Yeah, they're not going to have to make too many solid state batteries for that thing. The other thing wrong with PHEV is they have, we already saw that. At what point do you take legal action for the fraud perpetrated by Tesla? I think plenty of people are already. They have no intentions to deliver the Roadster to you or anyone else for that matter. They owe you $250,000 for each one. Preach.
Yep. I mean, at some point we'll get tired of it and just ask like, I'll be down to give me something else too. Like give me a Model S Plaid or.
Yeah, I'll take a Cybertruck and a Model S. What's the big deal?
Yeah, give me that too. I'll be happy with that. I don't know a Cybertruck. I'll just like, I'll just giggle at it for a while, probably sell it back. But
I would shoot one up. Okay.
Just for the gram.
Yeah. All right, that's it.
All right, that's it. We are done. Oh my God, that was a long one. Well, I appreciate every one of you that stayed for all that time. It's you're a real one. You're a real EV fan, a real Electrekker. Is that how we call our audience? All right. If you did enjoy the show, please give us a like, a thumbs up, a subscribe. All these cool things help the show a ton, and they're free to do, and they take a second, but we do appreciate them. And we're gonna see you same place, same time next week. Have a safe weekend, guys.